I can tell you what did change is I was a little bit twitchy in the first half and less twitchy in the second half. I think if you look at the stats throughout the course of the game, all the key ones that we measure ourselves on, we were still winning a lot of those in the first half. The most significant stat that we weren't, though, is the most important one in any game of footy, and that's scoreboard pressure. And we had 16 scoring shots to, I think, 10 at half time. 8 goals 2 to 3 goals 13. You know, in the first 10 minutes of the game, you know, we placed Melbourne under enormous pressure and just couldn't. You know, we kicked 1 goal 6 to their 1 goal 1. I think in the first, I think they had 2 or 3 inside 50s to our, 10 or 12 in the early part of the game, and we just couldn't apply the scoreboard pressure that you need to. But we addressed a couple of things at half time, but most of it was just for the lads to just persevere and try and get reward for the structure. We still didn't, even in the third quarter, which we were able to dominate, even on the scoreboard. I think we still kicked 8 goals 11 or something along those lines. I think we ended up at 3/4 time 11 goals 24 or something. Anyway, but it doesn't matter so much. We were at least able to get enough goals in the third quarter to get reward for all the effort that we put in.
Just on that, just going on from that, you say how you were less twitchy in the second half. How were you feeling at half time, given a lot of your indicators, what your stats indicators would have been saying that, well, there's not much that you're doing wrong?
Yeah, not overly comfortable because we're all it takes in that situation is for Melbourne to start winning a few more clearances and a bit more contested ball, and that margin can spread out a bit too much than you like. But Melbourne rely enormously on a lot of defensive transition goals and moving the ball from one end of the ground to the other very, very quickly, and relying on a mistake and a turnover and then sort of slingshot out the back. And they did that quite frequently, and we were unable to defend that very well. But in the second half, we controlled the ball a lot more, used our players a lot more by hand and foot, and the possession in the second half in particular ended up being dominant in Hawthorn's favour, and that allowed us to run the game out particularly well, and Melbourne with the side that looked tired in the end.
Was there any excuses for the wastefulness? Time was swirling.
No, I think the conditions were pretty good, Bruce. Our field kicking was pretty good. Ironically, last week our field kicking was the thing that was pretty scratchy, and we turned the ball over and gave Adelaide some easy out-the-back goals as well. But our field kicking was okay, but our shots for goal were deplorable. So we'll probably have Jeffrey Gibb down there giving us some goal kicking rehearsals throughout the course of the week. But we'll address it. We've done a lot of work on our goal kicking over the course of the summer, and we just didn't nail them as well as we'd like today. But we had a good spread of goal kickers. Sean Burgoyne, we've played a little bit more up forward. In the first couple of games of the season, and he's kicked another 4 today. So, for Hawthorn to win games of footy, it's probably better that we don't have such a heavy reliance on Buddy and Ruffy to kick all our goals. And if we can spread that load, it makes it very difficult for teams to defend against us.
Any surprise that Matt Suckling's come through so quick, so strong today?
He might have come through quick from some people's eyes, but he's been on our list for 5 years now, and for probably the first three of those years, it was getting the durability from week to week to be able to withstand the rigours of the game. So it's only been in the last 2 years that he's probably been able to play at the level that he could do it from week to week consistently. But then it's just waiting around for an opportunity and making the most of that, and genuinely believing that he belongs at the level. And games like today, he played really well against Melbourne a couple of weeks ago down at Launceston as well. So he gets enormous confidence out of, as all young players do, when they first get into the game. They want back-to-back games and they want opportunity to perform well, and he did that today, and hopefully he can go on and be a very, very good player for us, because he's got a very, very lethal kick. He's very, very damaging. He kicked 2 very, very important goals for us, which were momentum turners in the third quarter and really ignited our side. And it's been a long time coming, but the lad's still only 22 or 23 years of age, and we're hopeful that he can have a long career with the Hawks. Yeah, well, certainly it helped having another runner. The real twitchiness of that is that when you activate your sub, like 5 minutes into the third quarter, like we did, you get another injury because Renouf could have kept on going. Really, he had a bit of a knock to his shoulder, and it was okay to continue on, but it was just like, well, we've got a fresh guy. Let's get him going. We're not controlling the game. Let's see if we get a change now. Is that the reason for the change? I know Lewis had a reasonable impact in the last 40 or 50 minutes of the game. He had over 10 or 12 possessions, so that was good. But Hale and Ruffy, when they competed in the ruck, were really good for us. So whether that was the reason the game changed, I'm not too sure. But certainly they made contributions, all three of those players. And but yeah, we don't usually like to activate the sub as early as that. But on this occasion, it worked well for us. Yeah, I really liked the consistency of his game over the whole 4 quarters. He was electric early, and we just couldn't get the full benefit, as I'd said earlier on, in terms of the scoreboard pressure. But that's probably been his most consistent game for some time, in terms of just putting 4 quarters of good quality footy together. He's a super little player, but usually his game excites most because he just does some things that very few others can do. But what I liked about his game today is that he stayed in the game. He still did a couple of pretty spectacular things, but it was just more workmanlike and stayed in the contest from one quarter to the next.
Will the skipper be better for the run?
Yeah, I think so. Listen, he's played a couple of games at Box Hill. And he's probably played 70 to 75% game time today. So we knew we had to manage him, but it's our course of action in terms of playing him at Box Hill for 2 games, I think is at least a little bit better preparation than someone like the Chips Frawley. He has to come in straight away. Such is the need to get your best players out there straight away. But we bit the bullet a little bit and made sure that he was at least capable of playing 70 to 75%. You just can't afford to have guys come into AFL footy coming back from injury, even if they're your very best players, and only be able to play 50% game time. It just puts too much pressure on the rest of your runners. So that was the attitude we took for Hodgie. We missed him dreadfully last week. He's the captain of our club and our reigning best and fairest winner, and very, very important player to our side. But we're pleased that he'll just recover well from this game and get himself ready for the Tigers now.
Was he slowed down by that knock to the hip? He seemed to get them done.
Listen, there'll be lots of knocks that all our players will get that will slow them down from time to time. But no, he's recovered pretty well, and we'll just nurse him through the early part of the next week. No doubt he'll be a little bit sore. Probably just, I think the Achilles is fine. He'll just be sore from getting hit. The little knocks, like you just said. It's a real wake-up call when even as a talented a player as what he is, to get yourself into AFL footy. You just get little knocks. It'll take a little while for him to get right again.
Just a word on Osborne's going on day in the second half.
That was an important role for Aussie to do that in the second half for us. But it's probably a reflection that Flash was unable to get into the game anywhere near as much because Hawthorn were controlling the ball so much. So is it an indication of Osborne negating him, or that no one could feed the ball to? Aaron, as we know, is the strength of his game is his outside work, and the Melbourne side actually getting him the ball, and he's very, very good at it, and so are the Melbourne side of getting it to him. But it was probably a credit to the rest of the blokes that Melbourne were unable to be in control of the ball to give it to Flash as much as they would have liked.